Hello, hello. Welcome to the Art Lounge. I am Randall Mackey, and I am here with Eric Wilkerson. And Andrew Bosley is a bum today and is not here. How's it going, Eric?
Pretty good.
Hello,
pretty good.
hello. Welcome
How are
to
you?
the Art Lounge. I am
Can you hear
pretty
me?
good. Yes, sorry.
All right,
I made
great,
mistakes and did not mute my Twitch, so I heard myself immediately after I talked. Problem solved.
Right on.
So how's it going, man?
Not bad. Just getting over some ailments and continuing ailments. And just getting old, I guess. We were just having this conversation. I'm not 50, but feel like it.
Feeling it? Yeah. I hear that. Definitely. Like we said, been on the bike a lot and feeling a little sore. My butt hurts a little bit. My back hurts. My hands are a little sore, cramping up, but totally worth it. So, how's work, man?
Not bad. Just trying to get some stuff done for some interface design and working on some other stuff I gotta get done before I'm preparing for two imaginative realism gallery shows this year, and I really need to get cranking on new content for those. I didn't want to dip into an archive and just ship out a painting I've already done, that people have already seen or hopefully seen. I wanted to make all new content and do something I could really get excited about and not have to worry about the limitations of size or the amount of detail I could put into it. I've really been thinking about doing more multi-figure compositions lately in oil paint. So I'm thinking about doing this big for me, 30 by 50 inch long multi-figure painting. It's every time I work on sketches for it, I think, where am I going to find the time to do this before November? But I guess a little bit at a time, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, because there's going to be a ton of the people that you would typically see showing at IllexCon or Gen Con, stuff like that. They're going to be in these shows, so it's going to be a who's who of sci-fi fantasy artists, and I gotta come correct,
Yeah.
Just say bring some heat, or try my best to bring some heat, and let them know that I deserve to be in there along with the rest of them. So anyway, but that's my inner monologue I have going on in my head. This better be dope.
Well, isn't that always the artist's inner monologue?
Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about the kind of the ILM challenge. I'm definitely planning on partaking in that. That looks super fun to me, anyway. So I'll be doing that. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that on ArtStation. But I just think it's going to be a fun, exciting opportunity, and I think it's going to be a hard challenge, but I think it's going to be cool. I think the level of competition is going to be high, and apparently we won't be able to see what the other people are working on. But having it
for anybody that doesn't know or listens to this, months from now, ILM is putting together a competition or a challenge with ArtStation. So there's a lot of the senior effects artists and art directors working at ILM that are going to be judging and critiquing the work, and they're giving out assignments every 2 weeks or something like that, right?
They're basically giving them out daily during the challenge. Supposedly it's going to change during the challenge. like daily. Like you'll get the brief, it might be loose, and then it might change during the day. So any number of things. It's supposed to be pretty crazy. It's supposed to be an actual production design challenge.
Yeah.
So I don't know the details. They haven't really said a lot,
the
but
winner,
I think.
Yeah. So the winner or they're going to be judging it, and then it goes from semifinals to finals, and then whoever ends up winning it is going to get a cash prize, Cintiq, they're like the highest end 27-inch touch, Cintiq, some money, and a trip to tour ILM. What is it, like a one-day tour?
Yeah, I think you get like a one-day tour of ILM.
Yeah,
so
what I thought was pretty funny was that it specifies in the little fine print that they don't cover the airfare.
Yeah.
Like, wherever in the world you are, you better figure out how you're going to get there. So,
I think it's pretty limited too. It looks like, and I didn't read all the rules, but it looked like it was U.S. and Canada only allowed in the competition.
Oh, okay.
So I think there was like already a lot of complaining on ArtStation about that. Like, oh, I'm in India and I want to do this.
Or you're in like South Korea and like you're amazing, but it's not open to you.
Yeah.
So that's.
So either way, I mean, there's phases. So like this month at the end of May for 2 weeks, it'll be like the first phase, and there's going to be a theme, I guess, and they'll give you a brief, and you do it for 2 weeks, and then they'll vote on it. All the ILM guys will look at it and give feedback or talk amongst themselves, and then they'll let you know if you are a semifinalist, and then you'll go into the phase 2, which is in June. And then if you pass phase 2, then you'll actually go into one in July. But those parts of the competition are actually only open if you basically graduate past one of the other phases.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I wonder sometimes how fair some of these competitions can be, especially with social media the way it is, since we can friend request any of these art directors or most of them through Facebook or follow them on various social media outlets, and get a rapport going. Like you become like internet friends with some of these people, and like I wonder if that sways anything where some art directors going, oh, my friend so and so is in the challenge, I'll pay special attention to this. I mean, I'm not saying that that's how it is, but I mean, there's really no way to know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be open enough, and I think they're going to just kind of be looking at submissions. I mean,
I'm
of
always
course,
thinking
human error.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, there could be, but I don't know. Again, I don't think this is like the kind of competition where they'll hire somebody right out, but
yeah,
what
would be cool is if the grand prize was I was saying this online the other day. It would be cool if the grand prize wasn't just a tour of ILM, but like a 1 week stint on like episode 9 or something.
To actually like work on it. That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, like even if you're just like sitting in the corner, or like making Xerox copies of amazing stuff, or just to be in the room. I don't know. I think that'd be way better than getting a Cintiq. I mean, because if you already have like I was saying this the other day, what if you already have a Cintiq and live in San Francisco or don't want to go to San Francisco? Like, well, what can they give you then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Real exposure, portfolio.
Yeah,
pieces.
exactly.
I mean, that's kind of what I feel like.
Because I remember those old CG Forum challenges from like 10 years ago. A lot of people blew up from that. It took I remember there being a lot of people that got first place, second place. Conceptart.org, what do they call wasn't Last Man Standing, it was Thunderdome. The Thunderdome challenges, and then CG Talk had their monthly or bi-monthly challenges where they have the judges be visual effects people or something like that, but it really made a lot of names, and it's not a waste of time, I mean, by any.
No,
by any
I think
stretch,
worst case scenario. Like, I'm kind of just going to do it for me. I think it'll be fun, and it's a good way to build some portfolio pieces.
Yeah, totally.
It's a good way to do some fun Star Wars art. I mean, it's all themed off of Episode 4, 5, and 6, which is super fun. So, yeah, it's gonna be cool. So,
looking forward to seeing what you do.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Hopefully nail it. We'll see. Probably not. So, yeah, let's talk about what we wanted to talk about, which is talk about traditional tools that we both use daily for work or otherwise. I use traditional tools a lot. We figured this was a good episode because we had talked to Andy. This is a good episode to discuss without Andy here, because he said he hardly ever uses traditional for work. I mean, he sketches and stuff, but that was something that he was saying. So I know you do a lot of traditional stuff in your personal work and professional work, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I tend to, probably completely different than you, though, as well, but I tend to use it a lot. So I tend to use marker and pen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. I sketch with marker and pen all the time. For professional work, I thumbnail. I always carry a little sketchbook, a marker, and pen in my pocket everywhere I go, and I've gotten a lot better with that lately. Like, I sketch all the time now when I'm on the go, and it's just crap. It's just crap. Like, I'm not sketching anything good. Like, it's nothing I would ever post to the internet. Nothing like that.
The last time I actually sat down with a sketchbook, like with intent to draw people or something like that, I was still commuting back and forth.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, you're a little fuzzy.
Oh, crap.
Coming through a tin can a little bit.
Yeah.
Hello.
Same.
Eric. We're losing Eric, unfortunately.
Hello?
Hey, man. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
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 Sounds bad.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's an internet issue. Maybe just disconnect from the Discord real quick and try to jump back in the...
Yeah, okay.
Oh, nope, you're back. You're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I won't move.
I think that was that seemed like a bandwidth issue more than anything. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
Not our fault.
Yeah. What I was saying is I used to draw and sketch in my sketchbook like pretty religiously when I was commuting to work, and I was working at a video game studio and at various companies working in New York City, and I was commuting like for an hour and a half. So this is all pre iPad, where people got all excited about drawing on their screen, or Cintiq Companion. I was just drawing in my sketchbook, drawing the back of people's heads, and drawing anybody that would sleep next to me on the train commuting in. And it would be fun, because up until the minute somebody realizes that I'm drawing them, and then they would start twitching and moving and feeling all uncomfortable.
Be all weird, yeah.
I guess it could be a little uncomfortable when you just have some random dude just staring at you for an hour.
Just sitting there, yeah, just drawing away, staring at you.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not licking my lips, like, relax, I'm just drawing. So, calm down. But yeah, now I might sketch a little something, but I'm in front of my Cintiq almost, I'd say, about 12 hours out of every day. So I like, when I walk away from this thing, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to pick up a pencil and do anything. So I mean, that's bad, I guess. But
I don't think it's terrible. I hear, I think there's more. That's one of the things, and it's something we plan to discuss in the future. But balancing, and it's something we've already talked about a little bit, but balancing life with art. And I think, I've seen a couple posts be really popular about that topic this week. But just the thought that like you have to grind all the time.
Oh, right.
That you always have to be just killing yourself. And there's like this attitude of doing that. And I don't necessarily think that's like the most healthy thing. I think there's a lot. No, it's not. I think there's a lot more to life than this. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, you should definitely. You're not gonna be pro, and you're not gonna make it unless you put in the hours and the time. And sometimes you're gonna crunch, but I think we as artists feel guilt sometimes, and sometimes there should be a point where we're just like enjoying living as well, and enjoy how far you've made it. Like when you're a professional and you're making, and you're getting work, like enjoy some of that moment. Enjoy where you've gotten to.
Yeah, I guess, as far as the internet, as far as social media is concerned, like, yeah, you should be drawing all the time. You should be, knocking out sketches and portraits, paintings, and still lifes, and attending ateliers, and not sleeping.
Yeah.
You should be hardcore all the time. All the time, ready, gung-ho and working on every single as many portfolio pieces as you can, waiting for that that Marvel phone call. And hey,
yeah, and I just think that some of that's just like it's not necessarily the most healthy thing.
It's
but I mean, you need to do it sometimes, and I think that but anyway, we're kind of digressing.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah, I mean, because all right, so I guess
but hey, sometimes that relaxation is doing some traditional work for me.
Right.
That's sometimes how I relax. I sit down and draw something on paper with a marker, and it feels different. It feels different from this. Not necessarily better, just different, and I enjoy it.
What I've I don't get to paint, in oils. Like when we're referring to traditional art, traditional media, we're basically talking about anything that's not digital. So, color pencils, watercolor, pastels, printmaking, sculpture, oil painting, acrylics, whatever. And like I don't get to physically paint as much as I wish I could, or that I wish I had time for. But which causes a problem where that a lot of digital artists might not ever face or feel. When you're doing something traditionally, same way as if you're going to sing, or if you're going to dance, or if you're going to write, if you don't do it enough, there's always this fear that you're going to forget how, or that your skill set is going to fall off somehow. So every few months, I'll sit and I'll just for my own sanity, I'll just paint up a little portrait or a little something, just to check. Like, yeah, I have to go in and check and like, have I forgotten how to do this? Do I still remember how to mix this flesh tone or whatever? And then I just get that little comfort of knowing that I haven't forgotten. Then I don't do it again for months. It's very bad. But just a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to sit and just do a portrait of my daughter, and that was just very freeing, I guess. Like, I wasn't worried about hitting a deadline or nailing the likeness or anything like that. I just wanted to do it just to do it. And I don't know how many people out there just paint in their spare time, or use traditional media in their spare time, or but you don't have to have a a hard focus on, making a portfolio piece or something like that. Making art just for the sake of making art can be gratifying,
So
in itself.
So, what do you use? Like, what do you use traditionally for work? Like for jobs before? Like, what have you done? Have you done traditional oil painting jobs, or do you just?
Yeah.
Like, I know you do a lot of sculpting. I know you do a lot of stuff like that. So.
Yeah, like for some of the freelance work that I do, depending on the deadline, I like to do the work traditionally in oil paint, oil on a primed panel, wood panel, birch plywood, or masonite. A lot of artists I see, like portrait painters and some illustrators, are moving toward using aluminum. What do they call aluminum panels? It's just like it's like sheet metal, used by like construction workers and stuff like that. Like you can repurpose it and sand it down, like scoring. You can score the surface of it so that it is receptive to holding oil paint. Which I found really interesting, and I've seen some beautiful work done like that. But anyway, I typically work in oil paint, but my process is kind of, I don't want to say long, but it's involved, because typically when I am working on, like, say, a book cover or a trading card or something for myself, I'm painting something that doesn't exist. So I spend a good amount of time making a sculpture of a creature or something that I don't want to try to make up, when I'm painting. So yeah, I could be messing around in ZBrush and knock it out in a day, but I don't know ZBrush well enough, so I still sit down with polymer-based clays, Super Sculpey. There's another kind of clay out there called Kato polyclay, which is like Super Sculpey. Like you can bake it and then paint over it.
Oh, that's awesome. So you basically build maquettes and stuff like that for what you're gonna paint.
Yeah. What's so funny is that I've been doing that before I knew what the word maquette meant. Like when I was in elementary school, like I couldn't afford the play sets and the vehicles for like all my Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
So I would sit there and I would pause. I would record the TV show, the cartoon, and I would pause the screen and I would sketch out what the turtle van looked like or what their lair looked like. And like crude, but it was enough. So then I would sit there and I would ask my mom for cardboard. And so with cardboard, markers, scissors, and a lot of masking tape, I sat there in our dining room and just made my own vehicles and my own stuff, like play sets for my Ninja Turtle toys, because at the time they had only released the action figures. They hadn't released any of the accessories, so that stuff didn't exist yet. So now I'm like, I'm getting frustrated. I want my turtle van, so I just made my own. So, that was fun to me, just sitting there making a little thing out of it. But yeah, I still do it, and it's so satisfying just to have a sculpture of a creature or something in my hand. Like I can physically hold it and say that I did it, as opposed to having a 3D model, a digital 3D model. I mean, yeah, you can still get it 3D printed, but it's not really the same thing, like in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it answers all of my questions. Like So sometimes when I'm doing an illustration, I might not know how I want to light the scene. I haven't worked it out. I haven't worked out my sketch in color or gray tone. It's all line. So, if there's a creature in the painting, I'll typically will sculpt the creature, and then when I go to photograph it, I'll just move the lights around the maquette until I see something cool, and then whatever lighting I settle on for the creature will inform how I light the rest of the painting. So, I mean, I have a rough idea sometimes, like it's going to be backlit, or it's going to have these lightings, this kind of lighting scenario, but sometimes, you know, the idea I had in my head looks horrible when I've set up the lights and I'm shining it on the sculpture. So I end up playing with, different camera angles. It's a lot of fun because you can almost, you're basically directing and looking at a real thing, a real creature sitting right in front of you, and you can just move your camera around it, up and down, low, high angle, low angle, just to see what your composition might look like if you changed up a few things. And I mean, that's probably like way too nerdy and detailed for people, but I don't know. It's really fun.
That's awesome, man.
Fun for me. I have to do this. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'm doing the same thing now. I had posted on my Instagram the sculpture that I had worked on a couple years ago, but never finished. And I just for anybody that sculpts or does maquettes or sculpts in their spare time, something I learned about super sculpting is that it will air dry. It takes a couple years, but it will air dry to the point where, I mean, you can still stick your finger in it, you can still poke it and leave an indentation, but it will become flaky and crumbly. For anybody that sculpts, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But after 2 or 3 years of the heat being on in my place, and it was just a slow bake. And I wanted to go back and finish this sculpture, but I couldn't really work on it because it just wouldn't hold clay, and it was going to crumble in my hands if I tried to do anything else with it. So I just basically just took a tool and scraped it down. So I have to start over from scratch and rebuild my wireframe and just completely strip it down, take all the aluminum foil off of the wireframe and everything. But I mean, somebody that does ZBrush might think of that and hear that and say, "Oh my gosh, what a waste of time," But at the end, I still want to have a physical sculpt, to hold and to be able to look at and say I did that. So
yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I use traditional a lot. I tend to draw, probably easily a couple times a week. Not necessarily every job, but a lot of jobs I tend to draw. I tend to do traditional drawing for things, just because it's a good way to it's almost faster for me to just like draw really bad things really fast. Instead of like
a shorthand.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm literally just like, it's like scribbling out notes. Like I'm not super worried about what I'm doing or how it looks. And it's just like, I'm just finding ideas. And it's really just like brainstorming, but my hand is moving while I'm brainstorming. And that's kind of the idea. But then I also will scan things a lot and then put them, like I'll draw it traditionally and then scan it and then draw it digitally, so that obviously it can be modified later for a client. But I mean, even like doing a lot of these Paragon cards for Epic, I've done, got stuck on an idea and just scribbled out like 10 different things in a notebook real quick. Is just sometimes even faster than sitting here drawing and erasing on the computer. And it's nice because I can get away from the computer and like think differently at least as well.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get in a different headspace when I'm doing that, and kind of not think about anything else and just focus on the sketchbook and focus on my mind and what I'm thinking. I have done some professional work with just marker and pen too as like a final product for concept stuff. I actually did a ton of that on SimCity, where I would actually just sketch and draw and then send things into them that were digital or that weren't digital at all. Like just send in sketches and then they mark up the sketches, and I'd end up doing the final thing. Sometimes if we wanted color, sometimes they just were good with whatever I sent traditionally. But yeah, so full disclosure, I've actually never painted ever.
Yikes.
Ever. Yeah.
Like even elementary school, high school art classes, or just...
No. I did do watercolor for fun for myself. That wasn't part of any of that. In high school, I did a couple. Like I painted like a hot air balloon, and I painted like a famous monastery. But yeah, beyond that, I have literally never painted. I kind of, interestingly, I have no interest in it. At least not now. Like it's something that I would like to know how to do, but it's not something that's high enough a priority for me to like invest the money in, invest the time into learning how to do it, or investing in all the products that you would need to do it.
No,
So
totally understand, man.
there's the mess, the time, the space, like all these different things that would factor in. And I kind of find myself not caring.
Yeah.
I guess. So, but like I said, like I love to draw, so I'll draw all day. But I think drawing is fast. That's why I like drawing, because it's so fast and it's an immediate result for me. But painting, I think, is, like it's just slow. So I know that it's slow, so I have no real desire.
Yeah, I actually spent a lot of time thinking about stuff like that, where like there are professional painters, like portrait painters, that they could have been illustrators, they could have gone into doing 3D or animation or what. There's so many different things you can do as an artist. Like, what makes the person decide, no, I'm not going to mess with this media, I'm going to do this. I could have stuck with doing marker comps or color pencil and watercolor illustrations, but there was a part of me that wanted to say, well, that's a challenge. That oil paint thing, that acrylic painting thing, that's something I feel like I should know, just to see like how much further I can go as an artist. Where some people don't have that interest. They just say, nope, I know what I want, and that's not it.
Yeah. So what about, how do you think, so totally different, it's kind of funny. So yeah, we both use it a little bit, but obviously you use it way more than I do. Andy said he hardly uses it ever. Said it's something that he would like to do more. How often, or let's switch subjects from like how we use it professionally into like how do you think it helps you with all your art? Like, do you think that it's, I mean, again, like I've never painted, but do you think it makes you a better artist to do traditional work, or?
That's I don't know. It depends. It depends on, because I think that it does inform your decisions when you're doing something digitally. you have a, I think, more of an understanding of why something works instead of just exploring, doing all these quick explorations digitally. You can just dive in and know what you're trying to achieve. But I don't think it makes somebody better. It's just a different.
Do you think it does it help you as an artist, I guess?
Yeah, it helps my sanity.
Well, that's worth something.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely worth something. I think if I don't paint, if I don't physically paint, like the smell of oil paint, just to sit there mixing colors and being in that space, if I don't do that for a long enough period of time, I'll get depressed.
Yeah.
Like it will affect my being, my mood, how I interact with others, because it'll get to a point where I'll be in a conversation with somebody and be like, I don't even want to be here. I just want to be home painting. And that's a sucky place to be. So you just, I don't know. Yeah, it helps. That's the most honest, brutal answer I could give you, and I hope that certain people don't listen to this and twist it on me, because I love you all, but man, there are times I just want to be home painting.
Yeah, I think that's all of us. We're a little bit all hermit mode, for sure. So, I don't know. I think it definitely helps. I think what you do traditionally, and again, I don't paint, so I don't know. I've watched a lot of people paint, and I've watched a lot of painting things, and I'd like to think that I'm starting to put some of that into what I'm painting digitally when I actually paint digitally. But I do know, this thing that I'm working on here, what I know from drawing traditionally, it's super influencing how I do this. Mm-hmm. I might, if I had never drawn traditionally, am I doing this the same way I would do it traditionally? Not even close. But I don't know, it's influencing my knowledge of how I do it, and I kind of approach it like a drawing. I still approach this, even though it's digital, I approach it like it's one of my traditional drawings.
See, there's programs out there, we're all aware of, that were made with the traditional painter in mind. I mean, I've very rarely used Corel Painter, but I'm thinking more along the lines of Art Rage, and you just can't. Well, you can go in there and just sample the color you want, but it gives you the option of taking two colors and blending them together and mixing them together to get a color that you want. And the only way you'd be able to get it to achieve that color traditionally would be to mix two or three colors together. And I think that's a skill set that a lot of digital painters don't have or don't really need, because they have they can just use a swatch tool and
color pick everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a skill I think that's one of the things from painting that I would like to know better is colors and how to mix them properly, because I kind of just noodle around until I figure out what's working. Or I approach it like a marker, and I do it like I'm doing a marker drawing, so which is completely different than how you would paint it.
Like when I think of people that do master copies, like at a museum, that's somebody that is so, their skill level is so high that they can look at a sergeant, stand right in front of it and copy it and make the skin tones and the values and everything exact. Whereas if somebody was to do a master copy digitally, I'm not as impressed. Like if you're copying a Zorn or a Sargent painting, because you're just color picking. I mean, yeah, you drew it, maybe, but at the end of the day, you've still just color picked and pushed the pixels around. I mean, yeah, it's there is a skill there. You need a certain amount of skill to do that as well, but I don't know. It's way more impressive to see somebody copy a Rubens for real. Yeah, that's just that's my point of view.
Yeah, I think there's definitely sometimes something more impressive to a traditional piece in general.
Yeah,
but
it's just having something, because I think you have something to physically hold, which is probably one of the best things about doing something traditionally. Is when you're done, you can step back and look at it and say, I made that. I can hold it in my hands. It's not just going to be a print. It may never sell, but that's really not the point of trying to make the art just to move it out the door. Like it could be a cathartic thing. You need to do it. But just to be able to say I made that is a very satisfying feeling, and I don't know as a digital painter if I can't feel the same way when I'm doing a digital painting. I can't feel the same way about it. Yeah, I can just look at it and go, yeah, I'll just make a print out of it and hope it sells.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can I can take away from it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking. I definitely think there is something that you can make yourself a better artist by doing traditional work. I just feel like maybe that's just because I feel like I'm missing out on something. Like I feel like if I had done some things traditionally or learned, like if I didn't go to art school, I went to the army and I taught myself to draw there. So I feel like I don't have a complete toolkit necessarily, if that makes sense. And so I feel like there are things that if you go to art school and you painted traditionally, there's things that you probably picked up that I didn't, that I don't know, that help you traditionally, like painting traditionally and just planning things out. Like I don't plan anything out, man. It's funny, like the way that I paint and draw is almost like sculpting, like, and that's why when I work traditionally on paper, I end up doing so many iterations. I blow through so many pieces of paper to end up with a final drawing, which is okay. Like that's the way it should be probably anyway when you're designing something. I blow through 10 pages with 10 sketches of a thing on them, and then just like they end up on the floor, and then I do one more that's like a finaler sketch, and then I do another finaler sketch, and then I marker it on 11 by 17, and then I don't like that, so then I trace over that and do another marker, and then from there then I pen it, and then I'm still not happy, so I sometimes but when I'm painting digitally and when I'm drawing digitally, I'm really just kind of carving things out. I don't necessarily plan out a piece all the time. I really just like, sometimes I'm really bad at thumbnailing because it's like, I thumbnail as I go. Like I just keep trying things until something works. And that's just kind of how I work, which, some people would say is wrong.
Well, it's a different mindset that you have to be in when you're painting traditionally versus doing it digitally, and like you're saying, like you can just sit there and just stream of consciousness just go through, and if you need to throw in textures, if you need to rotate the entire thing around or flip it and back and forth and cut and paste and do whatever you got to do, you can do it in seconds. Whereas you really have to think about how you're going to approach something if you're doing it traditionally, like way beforehand. I remember just a quick story. I was doing digital work exclusively for different ad agencies for man, maybe 5 years, like after I got out of school, and hadn't done a lot of oil painting. And then, I got this studio space outside of my home, and I wanted to, work on some samples and some oil painting samples. And I'm painting the background of this painting, and the values were off. And it was way too dark for a scene in the background. And I'm trying to think of how do I lighten that. And then my brain's thinking, well, just add an adjustment filter.
Yeah.
And then merge it, and then my left hand is like doing the Control-Alt-Delete, or the undo.
Oh,
motions.
Dude, I do that all the time. I reach for that. I do a line on paper, and then I reach for that, and it's not there, and then I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I'm standing there, and I'm looking at this painting, and I'm like, this is wrong. And my hand's doing it, and I look down at my left hand, I'm like, why are you? Oh my God, this isn't digital. This is for real. I have to wipe this out.
It cannot undo.
You cannot undo. So you have to go into it thinking, all right, I just can't choose any value of paint I want and just lay it in there and then change it later. Like, I have to mix this color so that it looks correct the first time out, and then I lay it onto the board, because if it's not right, you have a few hours to really decide whether or not it's there to stay or not, because I'd say depending on whether you're using some kind of drying medium when you're painting, or in oils, you have a few hours to decide whether you're going to wipe it out and start over, or adjust things as you go. In acrylics, you have seconds, minutes to decide if it's right, but you can in acrylics it's drying in minutes, so then you can go over it with the next successive layer and brighten or darken or change a color completely and not have it really affect anything too much, because acrylics drying like plastic. So but it's you can't go into it blindly. I'm saying, you have to.
Oh, losing you again, Eric.
Oh no, I moved.
You moved.
Can you hear me?
You can't move, Eric.
Yeah. Right. I'm back. You can't just dive in. Well, you can, but you'll end up altering things and having to do a lot of changes on the fly. Usually,
you there? You there, man?
Yeah.
We're losing you. Yeah, I don't know what's up with it's the bandwidth.
Oh, no.
I'm pretty sure. Uh-oh, you there? Talk.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. Hello.
Coming back.
That's it. Hello.
Coming back. Hello.
Testing.
Yeah, try disconnecting it again. These internet problems are so wonderful. So, Eric will be back in a moment. And now I am left to talk and draw by myself. Hello, Eric.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Alright, great. Yeah, I was nailing my point and getting all philosophical.
Yeah, gone.
Nope.
Done.
I don't even remember what I was saying, but that's alright. You got the point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, why does this do this? Dude, Sketchbook Pro does not agree with my streaming right now.
Is it you getting some lagging issues?
Yeah, it's being a little weird.
I like how you can do the spherical stuff, and it's so much more involved to try to make a perfect sphere in various sizes in Photoshop.
Oh yeah, it's such a big pain in the butt. Honestly, it sucks. It's not fun. You have to do it out, and yeah, it's stupid.
Have you tried Manga Studio?
I haven't. A lot of people have recommended it. I just haven't.
Yeah.
It's just lagging a little bit. It's being a little annoying. Yeah, I have not tried Manga Studio at all. A lot of people have recommended it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But is it cool? Does it do cool things? Is it fancy?
I know a couple guys that work exclusively in Manga Studio, and they might bring it in afterwards and to Photoshop to add some like little color changes or adjustment layers, but more often than not they just stay in Manga Studio. They say that they love it, so well, maybe I should check this out.
Yeah, so one of the coolest new things that they got going on in this fancy pants Sketchbook Pro here is they have this the radial symmetry now. Oh, that's way wrong answer. So let me show you what it does. It's pretty cool. So you obviously have your like regular circle tool deals. That's a super mess. Here we go. So one of the things you can do is you set up your symmetry tool, but you can select how many basically versions of a thing you want radiating out.
Yeah.
So for this I want 5. So I can zoom it in here, center this guy, and I can start designing the chainring on this bike and get some cool graphic stuff going on. But see, it like copies it out multiple times. I don't really love that design, but
wow.
Yeah, super fun.
That was so fast. Like, that would have taken.
It
would have taken a couple minutes in Photoshop.
Yeah, it would have taken a minute. It's so cheater mode.
Wow.
I love it.
That just hurt my brain. Like, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, you can just play around. And so one of the cool things that I've been using it for is on the cards for Paragon with Epic. As we're doing all these cool like spell looking, like these magic spell glyph looking things, and so I can come in here and do that and design them ridiculously fast, like stupid fast. So yeah, it's like the coolest tool ever put into any digital program ever, in my opinion. Because yeah, you can just do what you want. I think it goes up to multiples of 16. And then obviously down to 2. But it's cool on the 2 because it's not the same as the flip symmetry. So you see, it's like still radial versus like if I just do the flip symmetry, it's side to side.
Yeah.
So if I do the 2 on the radial, see that? It's really, really cool tool. Love it. It's the best. Can't do that traditionally at all.
Yeah. I was thinking about what you were saying about sketchbooks, and I was at a convention back in February, and I had a man come up to me and show me his father's sketchbook. Like his father was suffering from Alzheimer's, and he was like 70 some years old, but he was a professional illustrator, in his career. After he retired, he always kept a sketchbook, and it wasn't always portraits or whatever. It was like what you were saying, like messy, just sketches, and it was kind of like a sketchbook / diary. He would do a little doodle and then talk about what his wife made him for dinner, and any kind of thoughts, that stream of consciousness, any kind of thoughts that came into his mind, and he would draw and paint in this little moleskin. and like his son is like probably in his 50s, like his whole showing me like his sketchbook, and I'm thinking to myself, this is beautiful. Like, this is something that, as you know, as a traditional artist, like, it's so great to have, because like if there's a power outage or something like that, you can always pick up your sketchbook and draw, as opposed to, you know, worrying about charging your iPad or charging your Cintiq, you know, companion, or whatever your digital device may be. Then I was also thinking about, well, you know, 50 years from now, what kind of devices are we going to be using to work digitally? And is it going to be compatible with something that you had, you know, in your youth? Is the format's going to be the same? You own that digital file that you made 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, we're losing you again, Eric.
Oh no. Hello?
You gotta upgrade your internet, Eric.
It's fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Coming.
Testing.
You there?
Hello? Hear me? Testing.
Check.
Testing. Hello?
I don't know why it's doing that. I wonder if everyone else on the stream is hearing that. I wonder if it's on my end that I just can't hear you and it's being weird.
Hello? I can hear you. Hello?
Yeah? Okay. I think I got you.
Alright, you got me back?
Yeah, still a little tin canny, but
Mm,
I wonder if it's just my speakers. Maybe you've been fine this whole time.
yeah, I mean, I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear you fine.
Okay. Alright, but, well, my point was, like, working traditionally, like, you always have a real object that you can hold in your hands and draw with. And, you know, God forbid, you know, you have a fire or something like that, or lose the sketchbook, it's not going anywhere. Though, you know, that paper is not going, it's if it's archival paper, it's not going anywhere.
Right.
You don't have to worry about the, like, sometimes I think about, well, what's going to happen to these files? What's going to happen to this hard drive? If the hard drive crashes, I've lost everything. Or, you know, if my backup hard drive crashes, I've lost everything. Or if the cloud service, whatever, you know, if the servers crash, then they've lost everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, but having
Get
that...
hacked.
Yeah, if they get hacked or something like that. But, you know, those are all, like, worst case crazy scenarios, but it's comforting to know that if you're, you know, in your 70s, late 70s, still sketching, that book, those sketchbooks become an heirloom. You know, you can pass that on to your family, and they can sit there and look at that and have a glimpse into what was going on in their dad's head. You know?
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah. I just thought it was a beautiful thing, and it made me want to sketch traditionally more and write things down and say, well, you know, I spent 3 hours at the gym or something like that and just drawing, like, I don't know, like little cartoons of people sweating or something like that, or like lifting weights with the veins popping out of their neck, or like some kind of caricature or something. But like, I know James Gurney does it, and there's a bunch of other people out there that have like annual sketchbooks. They just or they fill a sketchbook every few weeks or every few months, and that you know, you fill a box of that stuff. That's your life. That represents you in a way that a digital file, I don't think, can. But I don't know. That's just how I look at it.
No, I think you're right. And I think, like, that's one of the things. My sketchbook is also a notebook. Like, I just write and I draw on it. I don't care. Like, I fell into the same thing that everyone else does. It's like, you know, you're worried you got this new fresh sketchbook and you want to make everything in it dope. You know,
Yeah.
You're just like, this has to be the dopest thing. The end of this sketchbook has to look like Jake Parker's stuff, and I got to be able to sell this sketchbook. And it's like, nah, it's kind of not the point of having a sketchbook.
So true. I bought a mold. First time I bought a moleskin, I was a gung ho. I had to put dope stuff in it. I was looking at. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm having issues hearing.
Testing. Can you hear me now? Randall?
Hold on, I'm asking chat if. Talk. Check.
Testing. Hello.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah. So what I was saying is that I was looking at images of like James Jean's sketchbook, his moleskin, and some other people's sketchbooks, and I'm thinking I've got to produce like that. Like otherwise, this has been a waste of money. Like why did I buy it if I'm not going to put like amazing stuff in it? But then I end up writing recipes and doctor's appointments and random sketches and stuff in it. And then when people want to see my sketchbook, I'm thinking they don't want to see my recipes. Like why? Like,
yeah.
This is like personal. This has become a personal thing. It's not an art. It's not like a real portfolio.
No, and that's the thing is I've kind of switched over into just saving them for me. Like I'm like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to think about a sketchbook as like somebody else seeing it, and I think that's always like a concern. You get into your head like, oh, because people are always like, oh, you're carrying it around. Can I see what you're drawing? And you're like, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, like this is just mine. Or sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's just like, and it's literally just a bunch of poop drawings. Like it's nothing. I mean, it's just noodles. It's beyond bad. It's beyond, but it means something to me, and it's just ideas or just brainstorming, or it's just like my way of taking notes with doodling on a paper. Like it's not supposed to be, you know. And I think that's the problem is like you have people out there just crushing it with sketchbooks.
Yeah.
And that's totally like obviously not anything wrong with that. Like, you know, I want to crush it with sketchbooks too, but you can definitely, it can make you think that you need to crush it with your sketchbook.
Right. What's funny to me is how when people ask to see your sketchbook, like they start flipping pages, like looking for that amazing, you know, illustration or something like that.
Yeah, the thing that's going to really blow their mind.
Rendering. Right. And like you can always tell how unimpressed they are by how fast they're turning the pages. Like there's got to be something else in here but recipes and notes and like random messed up portraits of people.
Yeah, where's the dope stuff?
Right, like, where's the dope stuff? It must be in the back. So then they like grab like a handful of the paper and they start flipping through it. Like there's gotta be something else in here. Like what were you looking for? What were you hoping to find?
Ain't no dopeness in here.
Right, I'm sorry. Like I'll try better. God.
So right on, man. Well, I think we've pretty much, you know, a little bit of a shallow topic today. No Andy here, but you know, kept it going.
Yeah.
Drew
somebody out there has to relate.
Sort of drew a bicycle here.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Have you seen that thing? Like, I don't know. Like, everyone talks about, like, first day one of art school, like, drawing a bicycle. They have you do that thing, and there's the dude, there's a bicycle builder that went and built all the bikes based on people's drawings from...
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, super cool. It was like, they're all just so bad. But the point of the lesson is obviously, like, you don't really know what a bike looks like, which is... The point of the lesson is not learn how to draw a bike. It's that how little you actually observe, you know, and how little, unless you train yourself, how little you actually see things. So people sit and they draw what they think a bike looks like, but when you actually realize what a bike, like it's actually way more complex. But yeah, obviously I'm into cycling. I've kind of like, Scott Robertson has some really sweet, dope bike designs, and I've seen some cool bike designs out there, and obviously just I look at a lot of cool bikes all the time, so kind of wanted to draw a bike. Thought today was a good opportunity to sit down and try to do something. It's not the most original design, but kind of fun. It's hard, man. It's hard to make it all feel like it fits and would fit a person and would actually work.
Like, all you got to do now is put a little Autobot symbol on it, and then it's like, and some like panel segments and stuff. Blow everybody's mind.
Blow all the minds.
Yeah.
It's gonna be some cool graphic, some like cool graphic stuff for like the bike logo. Yeah, I don't know. Some ideas. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I might actually finish this at some point because this is kind of fun. Like I might design a whole bunch of these. They're actually really fun. So this one's not the most inventive, but yeah. Anyway,
cool.
Well, cool, man. Well, yeah. So we kind of talked about traditional stuff. We excluded Andy because he excluded himself, and
he's out enjoying life and
out doing life and such, and not working like the rest of us today. So, boo. Yeah. Well, so we will be back in a couple weeks. We have discussed a few things we are going to be putting together. Like we have a schedule that we're putting together. We have a whole bunch of show topics that are much more interesting than the one today, I feel. And we are going to be putting that list out so you can kind of like, we can have it out, and we're going to start pimping stuff a little bit harder, I think, moving forward. We've all just been a lot of crazy and trying to get this thing off the ground and even figure out how to do it. And I think moving forward, we want to definitely start to build it up and build up what we're doing and the production quality and figure out some kinks and then have some really cool topics that we want to talk about in depth in a much more meaningful manner. And of course, we'll all rotate through doing art and drawing. So, but yeah, anything else there, Eric? Or
yeah, I kind of think that there's something out there that could or
your mic is messing up on your final thought. The story of the day.
Yeah. Alright, well, let's just wrap it up.
You there? Yes.
Alright, well, let's wrap it up.
Okay, well, that was the Art Lounge today. We will fix some of these things and still get to the bottom. We are 3 dudes living in 3 states, and trying to figure all this out can be a little bit of a pain. So anyway, thanks for coming in, and we'll catch you all later.